de lampião. Hey, tum, 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 lampião desceu a cera. Hey, tum, 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 olha a pisada de lampião. Give thanks and praise. So much love and respect, dissidents. Things are getting incredibly hectic. There are a great many moving parts that I just don't have the technological savvy to keep everybody in stride with how much I want to communicate. It is a burden. It's a heavy burden. I'm gonna rant and ramble. I'm gonna end up all over the place, folks. I'm gonna be all over the place. I want to share the song I've chosen tonight is a forbidden song from my Mestre's Academy. It is said that while the song of Halampiao was being sung at the Mestre's Academy in a particularly passionate Hoda event, that Halampiao, the god of lightning, struck the kitchen at the academy and started a fire. And Mr. Jogaranji, from that day forward, prohibited the singing of that song. And I think we are in a vastly emergent state as we come into this new year. And today is 12/22. It is the peak of the Ursid meteor showers. I have moved Ursa into, as Ursa is the third largest constellation on the IAU. The number 3 is in the second prime number, and so I've put the third largest constellation in the second prime number spot. And my entire project is going so hyper fractal that I will constantly be referring to the old arrangement of my enneagram and its new arrangement now. So the Ursa Majora constellation is raining down today at its peak expression. And so I would say that Halampiao is striking while the iron is hot. And we are being primed. We are being primed for the lunar standstill. Last time I talked about it, I said it was on March 22. And then I go look it up, and then some other website is saying it's on March 13th to the 14th. So I'm just going to say March lunar standstill. About 6 months ago when I looked it up, they told me it was in June. So we're just going to call it the March lunar standstill. It's a major lunar standstill. I believe that this is what we are being primed for, with many of the ceremonies and the rearranging of the paradigms, and the whole chessboard is on a much more advanced state as we are being primed. And I also want to mention that the spirit of Ahriman is the great deceiver. I am seeing so much energy around the number 3 position. In the Greek pantheon, this would be Dionysus or Neptune. There are many, many aspects of water elements on this number 3. In the Enneagram, this is an achiever with a shadow of deceit, and Ahriman is the grand deceiver. In the infernal aspects of number 3, the infernal spirit is the infernal spirit of deceit is the Diablo, El Diablo, the devil. In the Abrahamics, this is Jesus. In the Muses, this is Euterpe. My last video, I talked about 42, the bringing together of the number 4 and the number 2 cards. Death card is 13, it becomes a 4. Priestess card has always been number 2. I brought them together to express my vision of Luigi Mangina shooting that fella in the back. And I made the claim that this is a reenactment of John Lennon being shot at the entrance, at the gates of the Dakota building. And I've also elaborated on how this is also a one-to-one analog to the Shandor building of the Ghostbusters. And I have so much to substantiate these claims. I have so much. It is so difficult to stay linear. Dionysus in the number 3 spot is presenced in uncanny silence. Euterpe, the muse of the sick, this is the only doctor in the symposium, the only DR, the one DR, throne, the one DR. Euterpe is playing a flute. Dionysus is presenced by uncanny silence. The silencer was uncanny silence. 3 shots. The witness scurries off. I'm going to stay under the paradigm of this is utter theater. This is all art craft. This is all theater. But don't think for a second that I'm not also open to mystical, inexplicable influence. But I'm just going to stay under the paradigm of this is manufactured, that this is all art craft. Because the muses are the 9 arts. Uncanny silence. He's got the silencer. He's got a backpack and a silence ghost gun, right? The Ghostbusters had the proton packs and ghost guns that were out of control. I even forgot the name of the fellow who shot John Lennon. Shame on me. It should be in the databank somewhere. But he was carrying a copy of Catcher in the Rye that he had John Lennon sign for him. You look at the signature that John Lennon put in his copy of Catcher in the Rye, and John Lennon's signature looks very much like the Capricorn sign. He puts a little smiley face on the bottom of it. John Lennon, and then a little smiley face of himself, a self-portrait caricature. John Lennon was born in October. That puts his placenta in Capricorn. His zygote emergence was Capricornian. 9 months later, he pops out in October. He's born on October 9th. The apprehension of this killer, who was embodying the death card, it happened on December 9th, the same day that the news announced the death of John Lennon. I believe he died on the 8th. They announced it on the 9th in 1980. 1, 9, 8 are the acting groups of the Enneagram. 1980 is the same year that Shogun came out. I just went and watched Shogun, and I watched my Enneagram project unpack in the most uncanny correspondence. It was flawless because the Enneagram is Odysseus's Odyssey, and the Shogun is a nautical paradigm. They were running through the telemetry data of the Enneagram in Shogun, and they did tricks and maneuvers I can't even explain. And it was kind of blowing my mind. Why am I seeing this from my Western eyes to have such high fidelity to the Enneagram? And I realized by the time I got to the 6th episode, I realized I need to see this through the Navaratri. And when I started seeing it from Eastern eyes, sure enough, Mahagari was right up here with the old arrangement of my Enneagram. Mahagari was when, just as we bridge from the 7 to the 8, and Mariko is going to do a seppuku ritual, and she's wearing all white, just like your classic Rider-Waite deck, where the Vestal Virgin is taming the lion. Mariko was about to do a seppuku, and for the women, I don't even know. I guess they hold it like this. For the women, seppuku goes to the throat. And she's about to do a self-sacrifice. The adrenaline was running high, and then they come and they interrupt her, and she ends up dying just a few chapters later when the ninja stars. Then there's a ninja infiltration into the tower, and they start launching ninja stars. One guy gets one in the head, and sure enough, I'm looking at the star card, and yeah, in the number 8 spot at the control, domineering, shadow of lust correspondence. It was amazing watching Shogun and watching my own project reflect back to me, and that I had to also kind of fulfill Mahagari. She wears white. I had to fulfill some of the Navaratri to see how the Enneagram and the tarot cards are international, y'all. They are international. I'm just going to say it now. There's a really good theory that Japan faked their surrender. Japan very likely faked their surrender. And the royal bloodlines, the dragon bloodlines, they are alive and well, pulling strings behind the scenes in equity where nobody can see them. And the republic is a front-facing facade. A lot of that is supported by what I see when I watch Shogun with my alternative history lens dialed up to 11. This is going to be nuts, y'all. This one's going to be nuts because I have to keep my cards where I have them right now for the sake of the project I'm developing around the endocrine system and the prime number constellations. However, I also need people to be mentally acrobatic enough to also see how the Enneagram was before. So I'm going to keep the Death card and the High Priestess card here in the number 3 spot. But I'm going to bring your graphic forward, and I want people to know, here I'm going to move it, I'm going to do some moving pieces. I want people to know that the Death card was in the 4 spot originally, because it's card number 13, and is the pairing to the Emperor card. This has always been Orange Man bad. The word the Emperor, it's on the bottom of this card, is an anagram for hero trump. Every major arcana card has the word trump on it. The trumps on every one of these cards. All right, Orange Man bad. Luigi Mangina. This card is green, just like Luigi. And then they snatch them up, they put them in orange. The Empress card was up here because she's card number 2 in my original arrangement, just the plain straight shooting style. And I'm looking at what is the significance of the number 4 to the number 2 connection. It is not integrating. It is not an integration of the Enneagram. It is disintegrating. It is going against growth. It is a hard lesson. It's going for the hard lessons. When you disintegrate the Enneagram, it's not really clockwise or counterclockwise, winter shins or otherwise. But the line, the drive from the 4 to the 2 is disintegrating. This is so advanced. You know what? I might break this episode up. I'm going to break this episode up for my own consistency. So whatever mistakes I make, I can make the addendums post-production. But I'm just going to put the priestess back where she was. The 4 to the 2 is a disintegrating relationship. And I'm going to put a couple other cards back where they were in the most basic, most simple expression of the Enneagram. The 2 other cards that were in the 3 spot, oh my gosh, it's falling apart, were very aquatic. They were very water-based cards. We had the Empress card is number 3, and we have the Hangman is number 12, reduces to a 3. So in my original arrangement, I had the Empress and the Hangman over here. I'm looking at this Hangman, who I always correspond to Ophiuchus generally, but I'm seeing this H, it has this H, and I've done work on this, how it's Harry Houdini is embodied in here. It's also Harrison Ford. Harrison's Ford name is an anagram for a door for Harry's sign. The door for Harry's sign. And Harry Houdini told his wife that he would communicate with her from beyond. This card has the glyph for door on it. This card has the glyph for water. So there's a lot of commemoration that used to be in this position, but I'm not. I'm sticking to my arrangement just for the sake of the progress I'm trying to make around the Enneagram and the endocrine system. I'm going to pause here because I have so many moving parts regarding what I care to share. But with my new arrangement, when I put everything in the primes, let's go back. When I had everything in the primes, there were two cards that I did not have a home for. For some reason, the two cards that did not have a quick, easy answer were the Emperor card and the Devil card. And the Devil card is number 15, relates to the number 6 over here. But the strange thing is, in the infernal aspects, this is El Diablo, the deceiver, the Ahrimanic energy, connection point from the 3 to the 6 in the Enneagram. So the devil is over here, but I'm telling everybody that Ahriman and the energy of the deceiver, of El Diablo, the doubler of the divided line, is very musical in its nature. There's quite a few cards like that. The moon card, in planetary aspects, number 2 should be the moon card, but the moon is number 18. So I don't have any reason to put it next to the number 2 personality type, the giver with the shadow of pride. I don't really have any reason, but I'm putting it here, and the 8 and the 2 do connect in the Enneagram. There is a through thread from the 8 personality to the 2 personality, which is integrating. It would be integrating to bring the 8 to the 2. Things are so complicated. They are so very complicated. So I'm going to put the Emperor card back in its number 4 position because I'm coming to appreciate how when Luigi Mangina popped a cap in the Capricorn card, he then was apprehended and he's now wearing orange. I'm going to buzz on this Emperor card like none other. And I want to give thanks and praise before I forget to Black Sheep, Paul. He's been buzzing about the Vatican and their rituals around opening the doors for the new year, this ritual they're doing. And he mentioned towards the end of his video that they are relocating the magnetic North Pole to Siberia. They're going to put the new magnetic North Pole. It's been migrating over a long period of time. It's going to land in Siberia. And that's something I want to pick up on. But I don't want to forget that the door was in the 3 position. The Devil card was in the 6 position. And I'm seeing potential reason for the Devil and the High Priest and the Empress card to potentially switch in a metaphorical opening of the door for the Ahrimanic energy that's coming forward. All right, I'll be right back. Thanks and praise, dissidents. Super advanced weaves, super advanced. All right. Want everybody to remember the mangina. It's down here in the orange man bad position. And that the Capricorn of the priestess was in the number 2 position. And I'm going to weave just a little bit on what the disintegrating nature of the 4, taking out the number 2. I just want to put some historical context into everyone's perspective. When Crowley hired Lady Frida Harris, the artist who made this deck, when he had her make this deck, he demoted the priestess. She is no longer the high priestess. She is now simply the priestess. Her mantle has been defiled in this deck. This is Aleister Crowley taking a cheap shot on HPB, High Priestess Blavatsky. He took the high off of her name. She's now just the priestess. This is kicking the United Nations right in the balls. They are theosophists. The Lucius Trust of the theosophists, this was in the 2 position. This is the Lucifer, the symbol of pride. And there is a huge kicking in the balls by Donald Trump taking out the pride of the camel toe Harris. There is high consistency in the iconoclasm that I am looking at. And so, this also represents the theosophists of the United Nations. I need to say that before I forget, because I have so much things to say right now. I have so much things to say. All right. I'm going to read what it means in the Enneagram for the number 4 to retrograde against the number 2, for the disintegrating energy to angle from the 4 to the 2. Essentially, in the disintegrating nature of a individual looking to pride, moving from the number 4 to the number 2, as opposed to the number 4 going to the number 1. These connection threads on the Enneagram all have meaning. I suggest everybody looks up the meaning of disintegrating and integrating, as Luigi Mangina is at the crossroads. He's at a split. The number 4 individuals can either go towards pride, or they can go towards wrath. Essentially, the Leviathan, it's the name for envy, speaking infernally, the Leviathan can either disintegrate towards pride, or it can integrate towards wrath. All right, I'm going to read what it means for the individual to disintegrate towards the giver, and that is romantic idealization, the feeling unlovable or unworthy or insecure. That is what it means for a 4 to move towards a number 2. This is empathy. That's the remedial virtue. This is of a number 4 is their remedial virtue is empathy or kindness. I'm thinking of altruism. Empathy plus pride is moving towards self-sacrifice, emotionally overextending to save others. That resonates very much for me in my project right now. I am putting myself way out there to even talk about this stuff. I am completely overextending to save others, to share my vision with everyone. And if you wanted to go against these drives from the 4 to the 1, the remedy for not disintegrating and not buying into the spell that took place at the foot of the Shandor building, the remedy is putting others' needs above self-indulgent care and using simple, practical acts of love and thoughtfulness. This is totally just telling us about the holiday spirit of Christmas, engaging in the holiday spirit of Christmas. We are moving into the altruistic season to the max, as the Ursa Majora meteor showers rain down every year at 12/22. All right, I just wanted to read that, and I'm gonna finish up the Luigi Mangina and how he was apprehended, very much like the guy who shot John Lennon. Man, it's gonna drive me nuts. I'm just not gonna take the time to pause to figure out his name. So when he did the shot, he was wearing all black. And some of the aspects of him taking that shot on the CEO are powerfully reenacting the imagery of when Lenin's assassin was taken in on December 9th. It's 44. It's been 44 years. Death's doors, y'all. Death's doors, 44. So much to the 44. And so he gets taken custody, the assassin of John Lennon. And much like Mangina, now when they took him in, he was holding a copy of Catcher in the Rye. I'm looking at one of many of the cover art of Catcher in the Rye. Has this face. This is the face of Holden, the main character of Catcher in the Rye. You go and you look at other copies of Catcher in the Rye, and he's riding on a horse. Some of the art of Catcher in the Rye has him riding on a wild horse. This is the glyph for Pegasus. Sure enough, I'll bring the graphic. The Pegasus glyph is articulated by this lamb holding the flag right there. So I am getting extreme reward for putting the Pegasus, the 7th constellation on the IAU by size. I'm putting it right here, and then I'm looking at the card that used to be there, and I'm seeing the glyph for Pegasus is on the 4 card. The 7th constellation by size is on the 4th card in the original Enneagram Tarot correspondences, which is telling me that I was supposed to also correspond the prime number constellations to this card, as is the Catcher in the Rye cover, both with the simple picture of Mangina or Holden and in alternative Catcher in the Rye cover art. And now things get really wild. A lot of people are asking, why are they doing the perp walk, such a prolonged perp walk on Mangina? And the reason is because he is Holden from Catcher in the Rye. The fiction has come into reality. Sure enough, my favorite copy of Catcher in the Rye has all of the elements of these cards together. The 44 years since the John Lennon assassination took place. I'm going to bring a graphic. Not only does it have aspects of the Hercules constellation that has always been embodied by the anatomical likeness of this skeleton, he's also smoking a bunch of crows. Yeah, there's a lot of crows. Technically, the Ursa Majora meteor shower is going to be raining down on the Corvus constellation over the next few months. That's why these things rhyme, is because they did these rituals 44 years ago, and they're doing these rituals now. They can have that kind of consistency because the meteor showers and the constellations, they are the bedrock of what everybody calls parallelomania. That's why parallelomania happens all the time, and that's why these rituals look so consistent. It's because they're just doing what the stars do year after year after year after year. It is our DNA. These are the light codes of the superchiasmatic nuclei. All right. Now, I'm going to, hold on, no. Also, in the cover art of The Catcher in the Rye, there is also the Pegasus glyph. The Pegasus glyph is in the shape of the hat that the Catcher in the Rye is wearing. It's amazing how Mangina has those really defined cheekbones. He's really good looking, just like Holden from Catcher in the Rye. It's amazing. All right, I'm going to move into the territories map. Out of the Enneagram completely, and we're moving into the territories map. And what do these cards do when we put them on the territories map? Well, this card is Florida, where Orange Man Bad is born, or lives, for the most part. This is Mar-a-Lago. The Orange Man Bad card has always been, in the territories map, has been North California and Oregon, and right off the coast of Northern California and almost moving into Oregon is Eureka. Eureka, California. I'm going to bring the graphic forward, y'all. 40-degree parallel. The 40-degree parallel is where Eureka, California is. For the card number 4. Card number 13 equals card number 4. Eureka, we found it. In the map of Eureka, California is the profile of this emperor. Also, the profile of Holden from The Catcher in the Rye. And it is staring right off the coast where a great amount of the subversion plates are about to take place. Eureka is Archimedes' quote when he discovered how to measure the mass of an object by submerging it into water. Very much foretelling the likelihood of an earthquake off the coast of Eureka, California. And when you follow the 40th parallel, going straight across the Pacific Ocean, it cuts the head off the dragon of Japan. And a lot of people are buzzing on Shogun right now. I'm about to watch the new series to compare it against the old series. Breaks my heart because I'm a traditionalist about Shogun. I'm hardcore. I barely even want to watch it, but I'm gonna. All right. It does not line up to Siberia, where the new North Pole is going to be. However, when you take Cepheus, who is the constellation of the Emperor, when you take Cepheus on the star map, his toe is balancing on the egg, the sacred egg of the Yggdrasil, the lizard egg, which I think is the orb he's holding on his hands. Also, in the 4th speaker of the symposium, they talk about the creation of man and how Zeus chopped them like a hard-boiled egg. This is the stroke of Genesis, the stroke of genius. Zeus pats himself on the back and threatens to cut him again if they try to rise up. Cepheus constellation is pointing at the pole star. It is the house that the Christ was born in. Cassiopeia is the Empress card right next to him. This is the Virgin Mary. And the Cameloparditis is the 3 wise men. That's Averroes, Maimonides, and Aristotle are the 3 wise men of the Abrahamics, riding on their camels to come see the birthing of this child. The man makes the house. Cepheus is the shape of the shanty manger that Jesus is born in. Cassiopeia is the Virgin Mary that is swaddling the Christ child. The Bethlehem star is the North Pole star. And they are relocating the magnetic north right now. And they are counting on a new hero. They're counting on a new hero. Hero Trump. There is a Messiah being birthed in the grand ritual on a massive scale right now. That is what my read on these cards is all about. And the very simple answer for the personal, for the individual, if I'm doing a tarot reading for the homunculus on a very hyper sigil fractal level, it's very simple. It's very simple. It's exactly what the enneagram says. Putting others' needs above your own self-indulgent care, doing simple, practical acts of love and thoughtfulness. It's basically engage the holiday season, y'all. Don't be getting hateful. Don't be getting hateful. And don't sympathize with mangina. Don't sympathize with mangina, y'all. Because they are inverting the tragedy of our elders into the comedy of the next generation. Our elders sympathized with John Lennon, and they vilified the mangina who shot him. This was the bad guy. This was the good guy. The generation coming forward is being framed up to see this as the good guy. And this as the bad guy. This is inverting the sympathetic resonance from what our elders saw this ritual as. They want us to invert our sympathetic resonance of the characters from the exact same theatrical display. Art craft, y'all. With a dash of mysticism. I gotta say, a dash of mysticism, very likely. All right. And something else I want to buzz on is I'm going to flash the graphic from when the Moon card 18 and the Hermit card number 9 were both in the number 9 position. And I also have a printout of reading of the eyewitness account of the first alien ever. This is Kenneth Arnold's account of what he was seeing and how it was misinterpreted onto the masses. If you read Kenneth Arnold's account and you hold the Hermit card and the Moon card while you're reading his account of what he was visualizing into the ether, right in between Kenneth Arnold is the word ether. And so he's channeling his vision into the ether, and he's describing these tarot cards. He's putting the vision of the tarot deck into the minds of the masses, and it has been recirculated, reread, printed, and instilled onto the psyche of the masses 100,000 times until the people don't even realize that they've been imprinted with the dynamics of these tarot cards. And I can do that with a million other UFO stories. This is just the one forest from the trees. I should stop there. I'm going to stop there. Maybe I'll pause. Maybe I'll be back. Big love and respect. Let me see what I'm feeling. I'll see y'all in a bit. Give thanks and praise. Big love and respect, dissidents. I'm going the distance. Got to empty my database, so I got plenty of room for all the altruism I can afford. So I'm going to empty my cup now. Taking a little vacation after this one. Let's talk about the PCR test. This is Carrie Mollusk dancing naked on the beach of your mind, on the shores of your mind, dancing naked on the shores of your mind. The Magi card has always been Carrie Mollusk. He's depicted as riding surfboards. He's got multiple pictures of him with the surfboard. That is this Magi card. The Thoth deck came with 3 alternate Magi cards. These 3 alternate Magi cards are the 3 phases of the PCR test. There is the denaturing, there is the annealing, and there is the elongation. These are the 3 phases of the PCR process. And they are describing in a single word all 3 of the Magi Potentia cards of the Thoth deck. We are under the Crowleyan spell. We have been for way longer than this PCR test. So this has always been the Carrie Mollusk card. It also corresponds with Friedrich Nietzsche's descriptions of the tightrope walker, but it is essentially the Sagittarius. And everybody made Carrie Mollusk into a hero. And they're moving us into the nihilistic age. We are moving into the nihilistic age. And people who jumped on the PCR like it was going to save them, or people who used Carrie Mollusk's narrative or his writing or his books, you were taking on a false hero, y'all. You were taking on a false hero. He's part of the clique. He's all part of the clique. And his psychedelic DMT raccoon, who told him how to make the PCR test, his psychedelic vision is simply describing this Magi card that is Carrie Mollusk. Hanging 10 reduces to the 1 Magi card. I'm going to bring some images of what the PCR test is depicted to be a process of, and I'm looking at the Shandor building laying on its side. The Shandor building on its side. That is part of the reason why I have the Magi card moved from the number 1 spot into the number 9 spot is because now I am adhering to the visual, artistic ingredients around the card. Basically, I am no longer reading the words or the numbers. I've disregarded the words and the numbers, and I am going on some of the symbols that are amalgamated from the card itself. And so I'm putting Carrie Mullisk up in the number 1 spot, and I am contemplating his hat that is very serpentine. As Dr. Doom, the Hermit card, was in the 9 spot before. And Dr. Doom is Hood Recognized Hood. It's basically Zielinski. Zeal is the flipping of the comedy and the tragedy. That's what this is doing. Our elders sympathized with the CEO who got shot, and everybody's going to valorize the death card that is in the shape of the Hercules constellation. The Hercules constellation is in the shape of the drones. They want you to think these drones are here for your benefit. And our elders are going to see it as a mockery. And so the tragedy is becoming a comedy. That is how you spark off the zeal. You flip the Melpomene and the Thalia between generations. And I know that things that I sympathized with in my lifetime, my kiddo's going to flip my comedy into tragedy, just like I flipped my elders' tragedy into comedy. And that's how you spark off these conflagrations, the zeal. That's how you get the zeal. And I've always thought of Zielinski as Dr. Doom because he's Hood Recognized Hood. But also, this Magi card is in the color of the Ukraine flag. And so I'm looking at this very correspondent to Ukraine and Carrie Mullisk, walking naked in the beach of your mind. Silliness. So the PCR procedure looks very much like the Shandor building, laying on its side. And I'll bring some of the graphics around that forward. But yeah, I just wanted people to know that there is a spiritual reason why they want the drones to be the hero. Now I'm going to go the distance. The reason why the drones are to be the hero is because the word Joe Rogan is an anagram for a drone ego. They want us all to go deltas. They want us to be the deltas. Delta, 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 can I help you? Essentially, speaking very politically incorrect, the deltas were
Chinese.
Drones. They were mindless. They were obedient. They were not independent thinkers. Most of us are more epsilon. We are much more epsilon mentality, most of us. And they are programming us to just repeat what we hear and go along to get along and feel a sense of resolve, a sense of serotonin. If you just act like what a drone ego told you to act like, then you will get your serotonin fix and you'll just fit in with everybody else. They want the drone ego is the, what are they called? The myrmidons. They want everybody to be a myrmidon. The myrmidons often had hats that were depicted like insect horns or insect antennas. Look at the antennas on that mofo right there. So I'm putting all things serpentine in the top. I'm putting them up on the Tau cross. I'm lifting the serpents onto the Tau cross. And so I have Draco up here. I have Serpens, which is the 23rd constellation by size. 23 is the 9th prime number. And I've put, I guess this is Draco. Draco, Serpens, and Hydra. I have lifted all of the snakes to the top of the enneagram so that I can read the living waters. So I can read these living waters and better understand the meteor shower cycles that I believe are the stage lights that keep the suprachiasmatic nuclei of the human ancestral memory of the circadian rhythm in your globe theta. Theta is the sleep state. All right. Yeah. I'm going to pull down the lighting props. I'm going to pull down all these lights. We're going to collapse the globe theta. It's going to be a big, beautiful awakening. All right, y'all. Much truth, much honesty, much altruism, much selflessness, and stay bold, stay wise, stay true. See you in a while.